Hello everybody, welcome to this channel. I'm Kay. So this video is going to be quite spiritual because it is gonna be talking about spiritual things that are not tangible. Okay, so whenever there's anything that's intangible, so it would be quite spiritual because it happens on more or less a metaphysical level and can't be seen by the human eyes. So this would be the topic of the day. I mean, the direction of the topic of the day. And this specific topic is going to be about how to find oneself when an individual embodies multiple personalities or personas, however one interprets it, because it can be different from everyone's personal experience. And the reason that I would like to speak on this topic is because there are many individuals who may have such an experience but unable to pinpoint what is actually happening within them. So, for example, individuals who experience split personality disorders, or individuals who experience hearing voices in their heads, telling them what to do, or having different conversations in their own head, and that actually causes them fear. There are other individuals who are psychic, but they don't know that they are psychic, or they don't know there's such a thing. So, or there are individuals who are psychic and they also know that they are psychic, but they don't know how to handle this kind of situation. So the purpose of this video is to address such conditions, such experiences in a practical way and scientific way, and also compassionate way. Okay, so this is the intent is to form a practical, solid understanding on what actually is happening behind the scenes, and how can we grow out of this in order to find oneself. So centering oneself. This is the intent of the video. And so I hope this video finds whoever needs this information when they need it, and would give them certain inspirations and insights to liberate themselves from any kind of uncomfortable situations as relating to such an experience. So let's begin. Let's first understand how can this kind of situation comes into place, like split personalities, or like multiple personalities or persona in a person, in an individual. Usually, let me adjust this a little bit down, closer, so that I don't have to lean forward that much. Usually what and how this situation is formed, it's better for us to see from the metaphysical level, which would be related to how a soul comes into incarnation. Before coming into incarnation. This would be one case, one of the major cases, one of the major ways of how certain people, individuals, have such an experience, where within themselves they feel like there are different personalities within themselves, or they would feel like there are different people want them to do different things at the same time. So it really depends on how this individual, as in the one that is actually assigned to incarnate with this body vessel, would actually be the one in control of the situation, that is supposed to be in control of the situation. Okay, so all other individuals or personalities living along with this individual, these are the voices that usually these people hear. Okay, if now I'm just talking about the scenarios when it comes to within oneself, as in the soul group. Okay, I'm talking about soul group. So before the first case would be, one of the major cases would be an individual, before an individual, this kind of individual incarnates, there's an agreement formed, as in, it's kind of like forming a team within a person. And the purpose of this is usually to sort out something that is undone, like unfinished. And of course, there are different intents or purposes usually, but most of the time, very, very likely, is to sort out any kind of bugs, like karmic things, in order to outgrow. So that would then be kind of like you picking different team members, right? And to form such a group. However, sometimes within this team, there are some team members are not as conscious, okay, not as conscious. So that could cause a little bit of conflict and trouble when it comes to the individual in the body, like the one that's like conscious mind, the conscious state, having difficulties to carry out certain tasks or moving towards a more positive direction. So because there's friction when it comes to when this individual who is operating with the body wants to move towards a more positive direction, there will be a resistance coming from within that is of another personality, that is, or say another player character. Okay, that I would explain later. Another individual or personality or persona within that individual with the body would have conflict. That resistance would come from there. Okay, because this particular personality is not as conscious, as in consciousness wise, not as expansive, not as towards positivity. So naturally there would be much more of a resistance when the individual in the body that's operating with the body, that would be the host, let's say the host, okay, when this person wants to move towards positivity, there would be a resistance, conflicting situations arising. That would be a very natural and potential outcome. So this is one of the cases. Now, second is that these kind of multiple personalities or like multiple personas, when it comes to hearing voices, okay, some people might hear voices in their own head, even directing them to do certain things. It could even be harming themselves, okay? Now, this is another case. This one might not necessarily be related to incarnations, as in within one's own soul group, okay? Now, this particular case is concerned with other entities. It could be entities attachment. Now, this could be what people usually would call it in a more, I don't know, like biblical sense. That is like you made a deal with the devil, or like something demonic forces, some sort of things like this. However, if we see from a scientific perspective, like simply practicality, this is just, simply put, is a person agrees to subscribe to a lower frequency kind of an action. Okay, So whenever anything is lower in frequency, that would cause a person to feel more pain, feel more suffering. However, they could possibly, because of this, in exchange for money or fame or status or anything, okay, that they agree to trade, or health even to a certain extent, because it really depends on the deal. Now, this usually happens for those who are more or less psychic, or more or less have a certain spiritual evolution in themselves, but have reached a point where these kind of temptations, so to speak, would come in to distract their forward movement. So in these kind of cases, that's why some individuals would hear voices that direct them to do things. Besides, from the first case scenario would be, before incarnation, they already form a group, and the challenges would be this host has to sort out that conflict, that resistance, okay, and with the entire team to grow together. That is the challenge for the first one. Now the second one here is when such an individual is already psychic and fall into a certain mental trap, or due to temptations, or or due to ignorance. Some religions would say that, use this term. It's important to understand that when we trade anything, it's better to sacrifice. Okay, if one really wants to trade, it's better to sacrifice than to make a deal. Because when one sacrifices, it is to outgrow old patterns, like old habitual patterns that are not for our highest good. And so when we choose to sacrifice it, that's why it's called sacrifice, like sacred, to sacrifice it. Sacrifice, say, if I'm somebody who loves to drink wine, just for example, but I know that would actually cause certain spiritual inhibitions or obstacles for me, if I decide to pursue on such a path, towards such a path, then I would sacrifice this habit of mine of, I might say, okay, I'm gonna reduce to drinking wine once per week, versus I would drink it every single day. Okay, so this actually would be sacrificing. This is to outgrow any kind of old patterns and to transcend one's current reality towards positivity. So that's also trading, right? That's another form of trading with the universe. That's with oneself. That's promising to oneself, instead of trading with other forces to make deals. Okay, that would be a much better way, and it's also very efficient to cleanse out any kind of such deals, if anyone happens to make any with the lower frequency forces. Sacrifice would be a very good way to transcend it, to transmute this. Okay. So yeah, that would be the second case, but this is more about entities attachment and also making deals with entities. So that would be attachment, right? Making deals is attachment, forming an attachment. Now for this third case scenario, another major case, in this part I would like to explain what could happen if an individual doesn't know what they're doing. You know, like how we sometimes would see individuals shifting from one personality to another personality. So that would be split personality disorder, right? Is because the host is not centered. That's why I said how to find oneself when one embodies multiple personalities. Because the point is, the challenge is to find oneself when all the other personalities or persona overrides the host consciousness. It would then become a very obvious state of split personality. So when in the much more severe case would be the host would not even remember what the other personality says, like does or anything. They can't even remember. So that's basically how one personality takes over the other one. There could be many, right? There could be many. So in such case, it's better to really find help, because the host, the one who actually is supposed to operate the body, is unable to contain these personalities. Okay, it's not easy. So that is why seek for help to a shaman or to a psychiatrist. But in this kind of cases, it's better to find a shaman, I would say. But psychiatrists would work as well, but usually they would just use medication, which is not solving the root cause, just to be frank. Yeah, I mean, just medication on its own is not going to solve the problem. The root cause is not going to be solved by medication. So now that's it for the third scenario. The reason that I want to talk about this topic is because there are many people who don't understand the idea of who they are. And what I mean by that is a lot of the psychics, they can possibly remember their past lives, so to speak. So this would be the fourth reason of how many people are unable to find their center when having such experience. Okay, because a lot of individuals who are psychic and can possibly remember their past lives can even communicate. Okay, they thought they are them. Okay, say if somebody has a past life memory. Okay, so this person can recollect one of his or her past life memories, that in one lifetime this person was Moses. Okay, Moses. Now this individual could very likely, if unconscious, associate oneself or even identify oneself with and by this Moses. Okay, Moses. This is it's very important to understand that conscious detachment is necessary here. Because the thing is, now I'm gonna, in the following, I'm gonna express how I see this. I'm not saying that you are Moses or you are not Moses. I'm not suggesting this. I'm simply suggesting that it would be much better if we see from another angle, another perspective. And so we would then have a much bigger picture and understanding of what is actually happening. Now, when an individual identifies oneself with such a figure in history, so like Moses, okay, is a historical figure, be it in any way, shape, or form, it is a hero sort of a thing, right? A type of hero in history. The issue is when an individual identifies with that kind of historical figure, a hero figure, this person is limited. That is called the spiritual ego could come out, because what the person would think, oh, I am powerful, I am that great, I'm that. This limits growth. That's what I'm suggesting. This limits spiritual growth, because when one identifies oneself with or by something, there comes a form. And when there's such a form, it's very dangerous in a way that a person could perceive oneself in a more superior way to other people. And not only that, this individual would also become more ungrounded. Okay? Now, here's how I see it when it comes to such a situation. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta not turn off, like close the window because it's a little bit windy. Excuse me, I'm back. So, where was I? I was saying, it's important for an individual to understand when he or she has such an experience, that if this person happens to say even Cleopatra is one of this individual's past life or another individual's past life, okay, does not matter. But what is this? So let's talk about it here. What is this? Because once we understand this, we can then transcend and go beyond such a perception, this kind of form, and thus transcend, and thus finding oneself. Because that's the entire purpose of this video, okay? So, when we see the topic of soul, right? This is something that I've mentioned before. Now let's recap. We are all spiritual beings. Beings, okay? Remember this term, beings. We are all spiritual beings having different experiences, and now particularly human experience on this planet that we call Earth. Okay? So we are all spiritual beings having human experience here. Now let's talk about Earth. So what does it mean? It also means we are spiritual beings having human experiences through the soul, aka the soul account, and also through the player character. Okay, it's only through a soul account. We have soul, S-O-U-L, soul, because I mentioned soul is like an account, like a Gmail account. Now, for an account, like an account, say in video game, okay, an account, you can have different player characters, right? You can open different player characters. You know what I'm saying? If you play video games. So in one account, you can have multiple player characters, right? Now then you can have a female one. You can have a male version, and not for another player character. And then for another one is an old man. Now for another one, it could be a dragon-like creature. And for another one, it's like a fairy. Okay, they all look different, and they all have different abilities. They all have different ways of moving, even. Okay, the movement. You get what I'm saying? Okay, now, so the more of a soul is being used, as in the account, the more of a being uses a particular soul account to experience, the more player characters would there be, right? Okay? Okay. That means, that's why, that explains why there are some individuals that I mentioned in the first part, the first case, before they incarnate, they have agreed to form such a team. That they would be able to connect in a way within oneself and to carry out certain growth. There are challenges, of course, but that's the purpose. That's why they incarnate. Okay, that's why. So that's it. That's what it is. And that's because this is within one soul account. There are multiple player characters. Now, when one is playing, it doesn't mean that all other are idle. Like all other characters are idle. They can actually be, some of them can be on other realms, like operating. Some other can be not incarnated yet, but they are playing as well. Just not in a body. Okay? In a way, okay? So it's consciousness. So be it anyway. We don't have to go into details into that, because here's the thing. All of these kind of explanations, there are many different scenarios. We can't count them all. I'm just suggesting one here to serve as a more practical understanding of what could be, what it could look like. But I'm not saying that this is it, like that's the only scenario. No, I'm saying that this is one of the scenarios. There are infinite scenarios that could happen because even the universe is always expanding. It means eternity. Eternity means infinity, right? And infinity means infinite possibilities. So that means there are many different possibilities of this kind of scenarios happening, or a way to happen. Okay, so that's what I need to clarify here. There are many different scenarios and cases. It's just I would love to help us all to visualize the mechanism behind in just one way, just one of the ways, so that we can understand better, ourselves better. Now, so let's keep going. Now, when there's a soul, when there's a soul, each soul can be for a specific purpose. Because it's created, like say you can create multiple Gmail accounts, right? Now for one Gmail account, you can create it for business. For another Gmail account, it's for family. For another Gmail account, it's for another of your businesses. You assign purpose to the soul account, to the Gmail account. Now similarly, for a soul, it's operating just like an account. So for a soul, you can have different player characters. That's why people would think reincarnation. Reincarnation, yes, I understand. On a linear time frame, seeing of it, yeah, it does look like reincarnation. Okay, but I have already talked about this in another video, which is called Soul and Reincarnation. Okay, so if anyone's interested in that, please go visit that video. So that's why people would see it as reincarnation, and that's why some individuals would perceive themselves as like Moses or Cleopatra or any sort of this historical figures. Okay, so these are the player characters that are of certain soul, okay, certain souls, because they are different beings playing. However, what I really am trying to strengthen my point here is it's very dangerous to identify oneself as someone or any kind of form, any kind of by something. Because when we are identified by something, we are not claiming, we're not seeing our own essence of being. It's like you're the one playing a video game. Now say you're the one playing the video game, and because you have been playing this game for so long, now it has become that instead of you are controlling the play, what do you call that, the remote control, is it the video game, you've become that player character, and you forget about the one that's playing the remote control. Okay, you think you are that hero figure in the game, another player character. Yeah, that's also you. That's also the being you're playing it. That's being, your being. But then over time you forget about who you are, your being, and you think, I'm this player character. It's about forgetfulness, okay? It's just all about forgetting. So that's why I said finding oneself is to transcend the idea of this. That I'm this body, that I am Moses, I'm Cleopatra, whoever, okay? No, it does not necessarily have to be that way. As in, I respect whoever thinks they are that. It's valid, I understand it could be true, but we can also see from another side of the same truth, right? A different aspect of it, is that you are one of the player characters of your own soul that is created by your own being, by yourself. You're here experiencing a human experience that is for the purpose of experiencing. I repeat, you are here as a player character to experience whatever you yourself create to experience, you as in your own being. So all other player characters, be it you see yourself as Moses or Cleopatra, whatever it is, yes, that is also you. You could say it this way, because it is like it could be created by your own being, right? Okay, that's one way of seeing it. Now there's another way of seeing it though, because I said there are many different possibilities of how these kind of experiences can be created, so to have more possibility to have fun for all. It's a co-creative experience. It's a collective experience. That's what I have been saying. We can also see from a point of view that of investment, like financial investment. There are certain beings, they say, Cleopatra is one of their player characters in one of their soul accounts. They have this player character. What they can do is to see from a financial investment point of view, okay? They can take certain consciousness or experiences of this particular player character and allocate it, or say invest it into other soul groups, or even other beings' soul groups. Why? People will be like, then why are they doing this? Come on, you don't put all your money in one basket, right? And the thing is, I'm not talking about money. It's just an analogy. Is that it creates more diversity. It creates diverse experiences. It's fun. It's for experiences. It's for expansion. It's for learning. It's for growth. Okay, so that's why there are individuals who might not necessarily have their own being created this player character called Cleopatra, but they also receive information or they also embody certain similar experiences as Cleopatra because of such an investment done in the metaphysical level, the arrangement. Okay, so that's why am I suggesting, why did I say this scenario as well? It's because everything is possible. So it's not even necessary for us to find out what it is, because there are infinite ways, the infinite possibilities of how this could happen, because it's just for forming the experience that we're here to play it out, to enjoy, to go with the flow. Then people might be asking, then why do we even mention it? My intent of mentioning all these scenarios is to draw to this final point, is that be it anything, be it any situation or any scenario that could possibly happen to cause such an outcome. The experience of I am such and such historical figure. The final point that I'm trying to make here is that it's all about claiming your own soul sovereignty, like your own sovereignty as your own player character first. That is in you. Like you are the one that's controlling the body, right? You're the one that's operating the body. You gotta ground yourself, ground, to find who you are. You gotta find who you are, as in have your own judgment, have your own discernment, seeking for your divine higher guidance, like your divine self, speaking to your own higher mind. Your higher mind, you could also say your higher self, okay? Because if we disconnect from higher guidance, we can't see the whole picture. It's very important to connect oneself by centering to your higher mind. And the most efficient way to center oneself is first to ground yourself. When anyone has such experiences, split personalities and such, ground. What does it mean by grounding? Feel your body. You have to be in close intimacy with your own body, like such as like in a fist like this. Because now that you feel your body, that's how grounding, that's how grounding is formed between your spirit, your and your body, your soul and your body, I'll even say that. mind, body, and soul. Because when you feel your body, you then become much more centered. You feel yourself. You're in control of this body. You are the one that is leading. You have to take the leading role. That's why I said grounding is so important, because grounding is for you first to feel yourself. You're holding yourself. You're here. And once you know that you are here, you would make decisions, judgments with much more clarity. Because if you're not grounded enough, you would be hearing a lot of voices, directions and stuff. But then when you are more grounded, you would be more in tune with your divine self. Why? Because if a person is not grounded, this person would be swayed by a lot of different frequencies. But when the person is grounded, it's kind of like how visualize lightning. They have to hit the ground, right? And then it gets dissolved. Like it's just spread out. Or say absorbed. It gets absorbed, right? It gets absorbed by the ground. That's exactly the same for what I am suggesting to ground yourself. Go stand on the soil, stand on grass, or even touch yourself like this, like grasp yourself like this, in order to feel more grounded, to feel yourself. But don't harm yourself though, okay? So in this way, you would be much more in tune with your body. The more you feel yourself here grounded, the less the distraction can happen. The key here is to take the leading role. You have to take the leading role in this team. Your challenge that you're gonna overcome is to take the leading role, discuss with them. Don't avoid them, discuss with them, make things work in a positive way. Okay? This is your task. This is your task. You come with gifts, psychic abilities. And it is challenging, but it's because you can do it. That's why you incarnate in such a way. So the challenge here is to ground, take the leading role with compassion, okay, not to harm anyone, nor anyone inside you working with you, okay, it's a teamwork. And take the leading role, and also to make things work by discussing, understanding, so to grow together. Okay, and keep learning. The fourth thing, keep learning, keep listening to different new information that would uplift one's spiritual growth. So I hope this video finds you well. And if you find this content helpful, please give it a thumbs up so I don't know that you received this message and that you resonate. Thank you so much for your time, patience, and support. And I will see you in the next one.